Now, moving on to maybe another inconvenience that I actually feel a little bit bad for calling this an inconvenience because this is just something everyone in every country should do.
Mm.
But where I come from, we don't have this at all. Well, I think these days it's starting to show up a little bit more, but uh, basically, it's what's it called again? It's like trash division,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
like you have to
yeah,
separate
yeah,
the
yeah.
trash, and it's I'm used to it now, so I just like basically
Mm.
even in my room I just have like a different bag for each type of like trash. So for
Yeah,
plastic I have one bag, for like bottles and cans I have one bag, and so on, so on, so
yeah.
on. But I just wasn't used to it at all because
Mm.
back home you just throw shit out. If you have a pet, that's the umshimur sregi, so that's basically the food
Food
trash.
waste. Yeah,
Yeah,
food.
food waste. Yeah. So yeah, it was one of the things that I kind of want to put in my list of inconveniences,
Mm.
even though it's something everyone should do. It's good for the
Environment.
environment,
Yeah.
and yeah.
And for your information, when you go to Korea, you have to follow like a few certain rules.
Mm.
One of which being that you have to like throw like certain types of trash, you know, at a place where they belong. So, for example, you have several types of trash in Korea, which is like like normal trash, which is for example papers and
Yeah,
just
so it's basically anything they're not really
yeah,
interested in
yeah,
recycling
yeah.
actively.
And then you have like the bottles trash, like the can, the
Yeah,
bottle and stuff, and then you have I think they have uh
vinyl. They have
yeah,
vinyl as
vinyl, and
well. So
then
it's basically
and
your
also
chips,
glass.
yeah,
Yeah,
and glass
also
as well.
yeah. So basically, there are a lot of regulations you have to follow
Mm.
if you want to live in Korea. Because if you're not, you're gonna get fined. Normally, though, it's one of those things that we do not pay much attention to because you know like instructing a foreigner can be super hard. So most of the time at the places you stay at, normally like like apartment buildings or like the house
Mm.
you rent, the landlord just end up taking
Mm.
and just taking care of the trash himself. So you either that person either does it for free or he will charge you like a small amount so that he will like collect your trash for you and he will like
Do the division
yeah
for you.
do
So
it for you.
does he include that like in your monthly rent or something like that,
Well,
or does it come as like the maintenance bill, like electricity and water or
that I'm
something
not
like that?
sure because
Uh,
I've only lived in the same house for almost 2 years now, and in our
uh,
household,
you do it yourself.
well, we do it ourselves. We do it ourselves, but also like when we throw out our trash,
Mm.
the landlord actually comes and like collect it, and he double checks if we making a
Yeah,
mistake or not, because
they take it
yeah,
seriously. Yeah,
because
they take it.
it's no joke when it comes to Korea about trash stuff. Like if you do not divide the trash like correctly, you will be fined by a great amount. Like when I say great amount, I mean like $100, $200 for
For each
yeah,
offense.
exact for each offense. So that's one thing you really have to keep in mind
Mm.
when you go to Korea or when you're trying to live in Korea because like that can fuck you up real good. But yeah, but like I said, it's a good thing that because like
Mm.
not Koreans, foreigners are dumb, right? So most of the time, like the landlords end up taking care of the trash by themselves. So
Mm.
I don't think you need to worry about it that much. But if there's if there's a situation where the landlord's just like, yeah, nah, you handle that yourself, then you really have to like study properly, like
Mm.
either through the internet or like ask for some assistance from your Korean friend. Yeah, basically.
Well, since we're on the trash topic, there's another inconvenience that is if you're in the streets, you got trash in your hand, you need to throw that out.
Oh
Guess
yeah,
what? You
bro.
have to carry it home.
That's so annoying.
They do not have trash cans in Korea.
Yeah,
It's like you will find it rarely in a couple of areas.
yeah,
I remember being in Gangnam, not close to Gukchang,
yeah.
like not too far from here, and bruh, I saw there like they had like a mini trash can, and there was like recyclable and non-recyclable. So it's like those
Mm.
were the two options. but it was so small that it was almost all full anyways. I
Yeah.
didn't even have space to throw out what I wanted to throw out because it was full. So yeah, you walk in the street, got trash, too bad, gotta carry it home.
Yeah. The the ironic thing is they have a lot of trash cans inside the subway station. So
Mm,
it's like whenever you get down from the train, you immediately see a trash can. But that's not the case when you walk on the streets, which is where you spend most of the time at. Which
yeah.
is really ironic if you think about it,
Mm,
because like the place where people actually throw out trash are the places that no trash cans are available in within like a fucking like 5 kilometers radius. So
mm,
it's really weird. Like when I first came here, we went shopping a lot. We went to a lot of like shopping districts and we ate a lot of street food.
mm.
I remember like spending the entire night carrying like that one hot dog stick I bought like when I first came, which was like 3 hours
Like
like
before.
before
Mm,
that point. So yeah, now having lived here for 2 years, I kind of got used to it. So like whenever I go to coffee shops or whenever I go somewhere, I try to like let's say for example if I have
mm,
bubble like milk tea, I
mm,
try to finish it uh, at at the store and then ask the like the salesman to throw it away for me.
mm,
So yeah, that's a really annoying thing to deal with. But the funny thing is like I kind of looked into it
mm.
at some point because I was wondering why would they do that, right? What are their motives? Why be
For
not
not having like the
the
trash
trash cans
cans.
on the street?
Yeah.
And the funny thing is like I actually found a study stating that not having a lot of trash cans on the street actually reduces the amount of
For
trash
fresh
people
in the
throw
street.
out,
Yeah, exactly.
which is kind of funny if you think about it. Like I never thought of it before, but after reading that article, I was like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. You know?
Yeah, because if you have trash cans, like people will like everyone wants to be a basketball player these days. You have trash,
Mm.
you just be like throwing that shit like LeBron, and then
Kobe.
you miss, and well, not your problem anymore.
Yeah.
And so it's just trash around the trash can.
True.
And I actually saw this like first person, where like right next to my building where I live, they have like a small parking lot, and there's a restaurant next to it, and right at the exit of the restaurant they had a ashtray.
Mm.
So they had an ashtray, one of those tall ones. So the top is an ashtray and the bottom was a trash can. So people just kept throwing trash in there. And then at some
Inside
point
it.
it would get full,
Mm.
and then people just put trash around it.
Mm.
So if it's full, you don't want to carry it home. You see a trash can, you'll be like, I'll just put next to it and the restaurant will
Yeah.
deal with it.
Yeah.
So the restaurant owners, they got fed up with it, and they just full on removed the whole thing. So there's no ashtray no more and there's no trash can. Guess what? There's no trash at all. So I suppose the study is true. And we can also take into consideration that this system was adopted by Japan first.
Oh really?
Yeah, so basically, Japan is pretty much the same. And it works even better there than here because Japan is a much cleaner place than Korea is.
Mm.
So, well, there's
Well, I
that.
mean, there are a lot of factors that
Yeah, there's other things that play, like
Yeah.
there's the culture, and
Yeah.
well, anyways. Uh, One other thing that I would add is for any smokers out there, Korea is not a really friendly country when it comes to smoking, but it's ironic in the sense that a lot of Koreans are smokers,
Mm.
but they have these laws that they've implemented to basically help and support the people who are non-smokers. So most of the places you go, you are not allowed to smoke.
Exactly.
And sometimes even when you find a spot where you think, okay, there's no people here, I should be able to smoke, and then you look at the wall and poof, no smoking sign.
Yeah.
And it's just because no matter where you go, there's buildings and there's either people living there or people working there, and windows are open
Yeah.
here and there. So if you smoke, it goes up and people complain. So finding a proper place to smoke where you can just comfortably smoke without looking whether the police is coming or someone is gonna complain is not an easy task. So
Yeah,
beware
yeah.
of that.
You want to share that story of one time, like we were smoking that and that old guy.
Oh
Yeah,
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 like there was this one time. we were just like we were close to the station, right? So
Yeah, we were walking towards my house,
yeah,
basically.
so we were going towards your house, and I don't remember for some reason because usually I just do it in front of your house, anyways.
Mm.
But that day, I don't know if you were waiting for someone, but anyways, we just stopped at this spot where you can see cigarette butts on the floor, and this is kind of my way of knowing whether I'm allowed to smoke
Yeah,
or
yeah,
not.
yeah.
So
You see if other people smoke there. Or not.
yeah, exactly. So actually, before we arrived, there was no one smoking there, right? So I
Mm.
just went there, saw the cigarette butts, I light it up, and me and Jang, we're just having a conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, two other guys come and they're smoking too. And then another person comes. So now we're a group of people just smoking in a spot you're not supposed
Yeah,
to
they're
smoke
like-
out of nowhere.
Those guys like, oh shit, I saw my king.
Yeah.
It's my time.
Because there was a security guy who was standing not too far from us.
Yeah.
And when I came and I lit my cigarettes, like he looked at me weird, but he didn't say anything. He's like, it's one
Probably
person.
because he's a foreigner.
So he was just like, it's one person. I'll just let it slide.
Yeah.
But then this is another thing that smokers have. You see someone else smoking, you're like, I'm gonna smoke next to him. So if there's a problem, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
So these guys do that to us. They come smoke next to us, and then once we become a big group, then the security guy just comes to us in Korean, of course, and he's like, "Yeah, don't you see the no smoking sign?
Yeah.
Why are you smoking here? No, but the cigarette, let's just go, John. Let's go. When we just sped out of there. It's like we weren't gonna get into big trouble, right?
Mhm.
But it's just yeah.
Well, I mean,
You want to avoid confrontation, right? So you're just like, yeah, understood. Let me just throw this out. Let's leave.
and also I feel bad for the guy too because he's probably the one who's gonna do the cleaning later.
And even if it's not that, he's probably the one who's gonna have to respond to
Mm.
whoever owns the place when
Yeah,
they
yeah.
come home and is like, "What is this? It's your job to not allow this to happen."
True.
So yeah, he might get into trouble
Mm.
because of that.
Yeah.
Well, there's that.